guys, and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be exactly how I did my wedding makeup. I got married on March 3rd, so it's been a little bit over a month, and I wanted to show you guys exactly how I did my wedding makeup. And we just got our wedding photos back, and the makeup actually turned out really nice, so I wanted to share with you guys exactly what products I use, tips and tricks to keep it on all day so you guys look photo fresh. And I know that having your makeup done professionally can add a lot of cost to your wedding, so if you're looking to save money or cut back, I've just got some products I think you might really like, so let's get into it. So before I get into the makeup portion, I wanted to talk about skin prep. It's so important to have good skin before applying makeup, and so these are a few things that I did before I put any makeup on. The most important thing that I'm so glad I did before I got married was drinking so much water. So the week before, I chugged so many bottles of this, and it really made a big difference on my skin. I looked hydrated, I looked healthy, I looked alive, and so I think that was a big game changer. Another thing that I did before the wedding was I used a mask, and I used the Glossier Moisturizing Moon Mask, and I put it in the fridge the night before so that when I applied it in the morning, it would really moisturize but also depuff my face. And this was so nice. It was so refreshing and cooling in the morning, and it just added a ton of hydration throughout the day. The next thing that I used was a lip scrub. It's so important that your lips are smooth when applying any type of lipstick or lip product for the day, and I used the French Girl Rose Lip Polish. It's just a really nice lip scrub, and you barely use any of it, but it just makes your lips so smooth, so it's so important to exfoliate before you apply any lip product. Right after I exfoliated my lips, I went ahead and put on a lip balm. You can use any lip balm, but I found that the Vaseline lip balms are actually really nice. They're very affordable. This is probably my 4th or 5th tub of this. I use this all the time. I use it at night and I use it in the morning, but it's just really important that your lips stay hydrated throughout the day underneath any kind of lip product that you may use. One of the most important parts of your makeup routine is actually your moisturizer. This is actually not the moisturizer that I use during the day. It's the same kind of concept. You want to make sure that it's oil free, that it has kind of a tacky substance so that your makeup stays on really nice. You're really just giving your makeup something to hold on to, and so having a great oil-free moisturizer is really important. So all of that mentioned before was done before I even got to the wedding venue. Once I got to the wedding venue, I sat down, I took my time. It's so important that you have a lot of time to work on your makeup. You don't want to be rushed or you end up messing things up, and it's just really hard to go back and fix stuff. So just make sure you take your time. You have a lot of time. You're very relaxed while you do this because it's really a fun and enjoyable time. So just enjoy the moment, take your time. So before I applied any makeup, I made sure to prime my face, and I don't know what I would do without this. This is the Urban Decay B6 Vitamin Infused Complexion Prep Priming Spray, and I don't normally use any type of primer, but for your wedding day, it's so important to get a good primer. So I really highly suggest this one. You just mist it on. It's so lightweight, you can't even tell it's on there. And I just do 3 sprays of this, and then I kind of make sure it's dry before I go in with any makeup. So after I prime my face, I go in with foundation, and I'm using my Clinique Repair Wear Laser Focus Foundation. They're actually discontinuing this, but I've used this foundation since high school, and it has actually been one of my favorites. I think it's not talked about a lot, but I really love it. It's a medium coverage, it's very lightweight, very moisturizing, so it doesn't dry out your skin. I really love it. To apply it, I just use one of these little sponges. You can get these at Target. They come in like 40 packs. I just shake on my foundation to this, and I apply it by wiping it onto my face. I'm not doing this in any way, shape, or form. You just literally smear it on your face, and then you're gonna take any brush that you like. I have always loved this Artis brush, so I'm gonna use this to blend it out. I tried using a beauty blender for this portion, but when I was practicing it, I liked the way that the Artis brush actually blended more than I liked the beauty blender. And I feel like that's honestly a preference. A lot of people love the beauty blender, and some people love using a brush. It's honestly just your preference. I'm gonna apply a little more, make sure that I get everything covered. And I'm gonna also work it into my neck because that's very important. You wanna make sure that you work it into your neck, onto your ears, into your hairline. You do not want to see where your foundation starts and ends. So make sure everything's blended out really nicely. So that's my foundation, and as you can see, there are still some spots that I need to conceal, But overall, this is very, very natural looking. It doesn't look cakey. It doesn't look like there's a ton of foundation on, and that's what you want. You want it to look very natural, but still a little bit dramatic, and you want it to photograph really nicely. To make sure that my eyelids match the rest of my face, because I have lashes on, I take my little concealer brush, dip it in some foundation, and then I just apply it onto my eyelids. And this kind of works as a primer as well, and it will give a nice base for your eyeshadow. And then I'm just taking this little fluffy brush to smooth out around my eyes. Now I'm gonna go in and conceal these spots that need a little bit of help. For concealer, I absolutely love this stuff. It's the Urban Decay All Nighter Waterproof Full Coverage Concealer, and it's super pigmented. It lasts all day. You barely use any of it. So I'm just gonna put this on the spots that need concealing. Luckily, the day of the wedding, I didn't have barely any acne, so I didn't have to use a bunch of concealer, which was so nice. So then I take my same concealer brush and I just blend that into the skin. Like I said, you barely use any of this. And this stuff is 100% full coverage. It's amazing. Even if you aren't doing wedding makeup, I highly suggest you get your hands on some of this concealer. Now it's time for setting powder to make sure that your makeup doesn't go anywhere. And I use the Wowder by Glossier, and I just use a big fluffy brush. Make sure to tap off any excess, and I just press this into my face. And this really blurs everything nicely, and you're not gonna look shiny in photos. So that's with the translucent powder. You can see that it smoothed out everything to look really, really nice. Next is bronzer, and for bronzer, I'm just using my Bronze Goddess by Estee Lauder in the color medium. I love this bronzer just because it has a huge pan. Then I take my super fluffy bronzing brush from Clinique and I just swirl it in there. Make sure to tap off excess and then bronze. This is where you can go a little bit more dramatic because you want to make sure that it shows up in your photos. So I made sure to add a little bit more bronzer than normally. And I like to apply it to my temples as well to make my face look a little bit more narrow. And underneath my jawbone as well. And down my neck. For my highlight, I'm using the Dior Nude Air Luminizer in number 4. This is my absolute favorite highlighter ever. It's just the most beautiful color. And I'm going to be using a fluffy brush just to apply this to my cheeks. You definitely want to be very light-handed when applying highlight, unless you like very dramatic highlight. I always apply highlight to my nose as well. So this is the face with the highlight. You can see it catches really nicely. Next is blush, and I'm using the Cheek to Chic by Charlotte Tilbury, and I think that's the color called First Love. I love this blush. It's very, very light, but it does add a little bit of color. If you typically don't wear blush, it would be smart to just put a little bit on for photos. So that's blush, highlighter, bronzer, foundation, and now onto eyes. For my eyeshadows, I'm going to be going between two palettes, the Beautycounter Holiday palette and then the Naked Urban Decay palette. For my base shade, I'm going to be using this and applying this all over my eyelid. Make sure you tap off any excess. Having a nice base shade just makes everything a lot easier to blend out. Although this is a color that you don't really see, it is very important to make sure to do a base shade. I always like to go from light to dark, so the next shade that I'm going to be using is called Naked. I'm going to be using the color Half Baked, which is this little golden shade right here. I loved using the shimmer shadows. They just photographed really nicely. And I'm going to be taking this and applying it kind of closer to my lash line. So working my way darker, now I'm going to go in and use the color Rich Bronze from this palette. This is actually a very similar color to Smog in the Naked palette. So it's pretty much this color. You can use either one. I might just use this actually so that you guys can just use one palette versus two. But this is the color Smog, and I'm going to be applying this starting from my outer corner and moving in. And I only bring this shade about 3/4 of the way. Now I'm gonna take my fluffy brush and just kind of blend and soften out the edges. So now we are starting to see a little bit of a result from the eyeshadows. Taking the same brush, I'm gonna be applying this darker shade called Dark Horse, and this is gonna go on the outer corner as well. And I only use this color in the outer corner. Taking the fluffy brush and blending. So now this is when this palette actually comes in. I'm gonna be taking this really dark brown, it's called Espresso, and using that to kind of work as an eyeliner. And this shade is gonna get a little bit thicker as I go towards the outer corner as well. So taking the same little flat brush, I'm gonna be going in with the color Smog for my lower lash line. And I'm just gonna be smoking it out, starting from the outer corner and working in 2/3 of the way. Smoking out the lower lash line makes the biggest difference when doing your makeup, and it's a trick that I've always used. I always use whatever shadow I am on top to also use it on the bottom. I'm gonna go in with mascara, preferably waterproof. This is not waterproof, but I would just grab any drugstore waterproof mascara and do my bottom lashes. If you don't have fake eyelashes, I would highly suggest wearing strip lashes or getting fake lashes done, because I found that if you need to cry or wear it all day, fake lashes are really the way to go because they won't smudge. So to wipe off any excess eyeshadow that may have fallen, I just take my fluffy brush and kind of sweep very, very gently underneath my eyes. And that removes any excess makeup that's fallen. So these are the eyes. Not too dramatic, but it definitely photographs really beautifully. Now onto brows. I don't typically fill them in, but for the occasion I am. And I'm just taking a little brow brush and dipping it in some brown brow powder. This is not how you have to do it. However you do your brows, stick to that. But this is how I do mine. And I focus on the outer corners first, actually, and I work my way in. And this just helps them look more full and shaped nicely. Kind of sparsely I do the insides of my brows because I don't want them to look too shaped. After I fill in my brows, I like to go in with a brow gel, and this is just the Glossier Boy Brow. You can use a clear gel, you can use the Boy Brow. I love the Boy Brow. I always use it, so I just use it to keep my brows in place for the day. And now that my brows are done, it's time for lips. I don't like anything too crazy on my lips, so I'm using the Tarte lip paint in the color Bestie. So after I apply that, I actually go in with a lipstick, and this is the Urban Decay in Ravenswood. And this is just gonna help it stay all day, and it adds a nice little pink tint to it as well. Lastly, the most important part of the whole routine is to set your face. And I'm using the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Everybody loves this spray, I'm pretty sure, because it works so well. It keeps your makeup on all day long, and it's just really, really light, and I love it. Be sure though when you use this that you hold it very far away from your face. And you just want to make sure that it dries nicely. So this is the final look, exactly how I did my makeup on my wedding day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you guys back for some more videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!